Welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm your host, Zach. We have your host, Tony. And we have Robert, who still has a very poor webcam, attending as well. A famous person, Robert. So, our topic is going to be in general education, the paths we've took in school and whatnot. And just before we started recording, uh, I started talking about my school situation. So I went for 2 years of high school, and then as soon as I turned 16, I I just immediately like went and got a GED. Because at the time, you only needed to be 16 to do the GED. I don't know if that was universal, or if I mean nationwide. In Kentucky, it was you only had to be 16, and now you have to be 18. But
And what does the GD get you?
it's basically an equivalency of a high school diploma. So it's basically there for like the people who dropped out when they were like in eighth grade or some shit and worked in the coal mines all of their life, and then now they got laid off and like they have to go back to like they have to go back and get that so they can actually get a fucking job that's other than you know working in the coal mines.
Oh, so you opted for that right when you turned 16, pretty much.
Yeah, it's because you could. I didn't like. Well, I hated going to high school. I fucking hated that place. I hated all the people there. And so when I was like 16, okay, my sophomore year, I missed so many days of school. I missed at least 90. Um,
Yeah. I
and
I skipped seven weeks of school once, seven
oh
straight
my
weeks.
God, yeah.
So yeah, I hear you. Go on. Sorry.
Uh, but yeah, I just didn't like the place. I didn't think any of the teachers were competent. Didn't think any of the people were competent. So I just refused. I just stopped going. I just didn't want to go anymore. And so my parents were just like freaking out because it's illegal to not go to school, but they couldn't like physically make me, right? So they were just like, well, okay, you got two options. You can go on online high school, or you can drop out and get a GED. And
GD.
yeah, I was like, GED, what the hell is that? And then it's just like, well, it's basically an equivalency that usually people who drop out get. And so the only reason I went that route is because I knew I was going to go to college, so I knew it wouldn't matter, you know? So I just went and got the GED, and I pretty much spent like 2 years um, playing video games and like reading about stuff that interested me. But luckily, the only skill that was really rusty I had was my math. So when I started the college last year, in last January, I I just read a bunch of stuff online with math. I used Khan Academy to help
Yeah,
practice
they're.
too.
I hear they're good. I hear good things from them.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I pretty much just like, and I had an Algebra 2 textbook that I just went through and did a bunch of problems and learned how to do certain things, like simple. Um, but but then I took the entrance exam to the community college nearby, and I was able to get into like regular classes. So that's how
So
I.
no real problems then. No real problems. You know what? I don't. I kind of don't like it when people bash on math or English or science. Um, you know, 'cause sometimes people will argue, okay, you don't like when will I use this type of mathematics in my real life, right? But I would say it's still useful learning a system. Learning it's maybe you don't learn math for the sake of the actual mathematics itself, but the experience that you're getting is the challenge and the what's it called, the ability to learn something new, right? Something that's a little abstract.
Mhm.
Um, But I guess a lot of people are complaining because when math is taught, a lot of the time it's not taught in a intuitive way that is motivating. And if it's not motivating, then it's then I can probably understand why a lot of people talk shit about math, and that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I do think Khan Economy is turning that around, or online education in general, or those fortunate schools or people who are able to get competent, enthusiastic teachers with maybe smaller classrooms, for those who are fortunate. And for those who don't have that, hopefully they do find something that they can learn about that's motivating them.
I think there
That's
should be a
fun.
stronger emphasis on trade schools. I don't think there's enough emphasis on trade schools. Like, I don't think that. I think there should be if there's going to be public school systems, public education, I think there needs to be a system in which we can identify the students who are just not, they're not, they don't work well in an academic environment. Like, for example, those students who would obviously work a lot better if they went into something like carpentry or they worked to be an electrician or something akin to that. Because usually, you know, I feel like everyone has their own specific set of talents, and it's the goal of the individual is to kind of tap into those talents. And I don't feel like our public school system really gives is really fertile for everyone to do that.
Yeah, and I totally understand what you mean. I think a lot of people who do know, that they want to go into trade school, whether it be like tool and die or carpentry or plumbing or anything that's that's needed. I think they usually know earlier on. Whereas something that's a bit more harder to connect to an actual career, that's you have to do a lot more exploring, and that usually takes more time, right? That usually takes what does it take? It requires you to kind of know yourself and try actually new things, and to try new things takes time. Like I think graduating from high school around 17, 18, it's like that's a lot of pressure to kind of know what your interests are, and then you still have sort of 4 more years to well, actually, you have usually 1 to 2 more years to really pick your major, right? To pick your major is like that really is a 4 year commitment, and to commit something that you're not even sure about is kind of tricky. Um, yeah, and now I don't know. There's a lot of unknown factors now. Even if you do pick a major, you know, I think it is less common now that people will find a solid career, right? Usually now we're gonna have 3 or 4 or 5 careers. It's gonna be episodic. You're gonna have different episodes of trying different things. It is I think becoming less likely that you'll find yourself in a position where you have one long career. Uh,
Right.
you know, yeah, because there's even jobs that won't exist 4 years from now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's gonna be new types of jobs that we haven't even heard of yet, new
Right.
types of needs, and I'm not sure how all these. I'm sure some of the education systems are able to prepare for that, but I think for the most part, we don't know how to really tackle that. I actually maybe I could. Maybe there are you know teachers and students who are learning and teaching how to problem like certain fundamentals like critical thinking, problem solving, creative thinking, people skills, because whether you're in a business or a service industry or trying to solve a problem, you're in a system of people, right? Even if you're
Hmm.
just a programmer, you're still making a product for people, right? Even if you're not collaborating with it, even if you're an independent filmmaker, you're still making this for people, right? So I
Right.
think people skills is something that should be taught in school too. Yeah, I don't know. I once actually I had this idea. I was just brainstorming. If I had okay, so here's a thought experiment, Zach, or even to the audience and to you too, Rob. If you had to design your own school, what would what would the options be in that school? How long would you be in that school for? How specialized? Um, would certain programs be? You know, what kind of skills would be taught? What breadth requirements would you have, if any? You know, how much freedom do you have?
Um,
And I
it
Go
kind of
ahead.
reminds me of how Plato, his in his The Republic when he talks about kind of like a similar aspect of to have almost like an academy of sorts where
Oh yeah.
the people are chosen at a young age that display like certain skills, and it's men and women both, and they're put into like a place of a living edition where they all live together and they are exposed to rigorous study and rigorous physical exercise, and they're pretty much
Hmm.
familiarized with the current political status of their nation or wherever they're located, and are familiarized with a lot of the economic issues, the social issues, political issues, etc., and are given pretty much like you said, focus on critical thinking skills and being able to understand the steps they need to take. Like what exactly is, their how do they accomplish a just society? How do they come to, what their rights are, the purpose of the state, the purpose of each member of the society. I
Hmm.
guess that would be kind of like I agree with that idea. And the best of those are chosen to take places of political authority within their country.
Say that last part again.
The uh, the best of those individuals who study there are chosen to be political authorities within their country after they go
Oh,
through
okay.
the process of becoming informed and learning and developing a lot of their critical thinking skills and the like. And then
Yeah.
perhaps some of them who display certain, or I guess they go through this process and they're kind of placed in their role. If they show exceptional ability in physical skills such as I don't know, shooting a rifle or being able to, I don't know. I guess depending on the traits and abilities they and talents they display, they are selectively chosen by political authorities in their area of work. So I guess when
Yeah.
you start talking about that, though, it kind of implies like almost like a totalitarian state, almost like an authoritative, just like deciding, what people do. But I
Yeah, so I mean, we can still maybe have certain elements of that idea, but I mean, we can maybe let's go. What we can extract is maybe the idea of maybe not exactly selecting and then putting them into a position and based on their traits and talents, but maybe inviting them, suggesting them, giving them really good counseling, really letting them know what's going around in the world on different levels of analyses and different perspectives, so that they can make their own informed decision. But we do give them a lot of information to really for them to, I suppose, look inwards because they know themselves the best, and then based on the information that they were given about the outside world, they can kind of have a more informed decision, right?
right,
As opposed to be just being a lottery and hoping that we're put in a good position where we can kind of make ourselves useful and be productive in a meaningful way.
right.
Yeah, I do think what else should be emphasized in a modern academy. I guess this is a personal thing, right? Because I can't make claims for what the world should have, at least not yet. But as of right now, I think physical activity. I think that will do wonders for people when they take it seriously. I think JFK had this fitness. I can't remember what the program was called, but it was a movement where you know um, John F. Kennedy had built schools, and they really emphasized physical fitness because it caused people to sort of have, or it caused young men and women to have a sharp mind, mental toughness, discipline, grit. Um, what's it called? Being able to delay gratification. These are all I think strong predictors of future success, right? And then it's a little YouTube video where they interviewed these people who went to this JFK Academy, and they were all for the idea. They recognized how physical fitness really changed their life for the better, right? Because it was sort of like the benefits of physical fitness bled into every other part of their life. Could you imagine that? I
Yeah,
think,
like yeah, it's like a discipline thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's I think there's also science too saying how a good body makes a good mind, right? A high functioning body makes a high performing mind, really. So you're more creative, you're sharper, you can you're snappier. Your brain is less foggy, and you're more motivated too. For me, I don't know. I found that every time I have during the weeks that I am consistently exercising and working out or finding some way to exert myself, I'm happy. I'm usually just happy. I sleep better. I think better. I'm able to talk better. I'm more excited in general. I see no problem with exercise, except
Mhm.
maybe when it's forced upon you or when you have a bad image of what exercise is. If you have a bad idea about it, then you don't want to get into that. And
Right.
everyone has, I suppose, the right to choose what they want to do when it comes to what kind of activities you want to do. But I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. I don't see any reason not to. But to each their own. Yeah.
You have any thoughts on this, Robert?
On what?
On
If
Any of
you
it?
our
Holy
education,
fuck.
what should what should
if you had your own
Oh,
school,
you want to know about what how my okay, so I was in an all black school for all my life, and
Baltimore.
I graduated with 1.4.
damn.
I was in sports though. I played wrestling and rugby, but yeah, my average was 1.4.
Yo, okay, Robert, would you
And
say?
college is not much better. I'm probably around the same in college.
Well, Robert, I have a question for you. Would you say, if every young man had to do some sort of contact sport, it should be wrestling?
Jiu-jitsu is a bit better, but in high school, yeah, wrestling is it's great.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
because
was
I was
fun.
thinking, if it's football, which is great and all, but it's high risk for injury, right? And whereas I feel like wrestling and let's say even jujitsu, it's you don't get that same risk of injury, right? You can tap out, you can spar over and over again. You really do get better.
Right.
You're competing, but you're also collaborating because there's healthy competition there, right? So you try to outdo each other, but in a healthy way. And jiu-jitsu is like the way I've heard it from my friends who roll a lot. It's like chess.
It
It's like
is. Yeah.
physical chess, right? And it's like that's beautiful, to wield to bind the mind and body into one challenge.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm all for what's it called, bringing back the mind to the body and the body to the mind. I mean, the only reason why I'm ever like slow or when I always have a good time. I always benefit when I'm actually physically active. You know,
Right.
that's yeah. I'm only doing myself a disservice. But I guess enough of me about preaching about physical activities. Um,
I
yeah.
would agree with you. I think that the the benefits of physical exercise are so overwhelming. Like we have there's such mountains of evidence to back it up, right? And it's something that our ancestors had day to day for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and to kind of just suddenly stop that, because you suddenly have a more entertaining thing, at least in the short term in front of you, seems very counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's all types of reasons why we're less physically active. Um, what else? What else would you have in your school? I mentioned people skills, thinking skills. I think knowing how to take care of yourself in general. You know,
Like
knowing how to
just
take care of yourself. Your emotional health,
hygienic
emotional
stuff.
health, um, personal hygiene, emotional hygiene, um, relationships too. Relationships. How to resolve conflict. How to
Like interpersonal
um,
communications.
yeah. Like a lot of these things we weren't taught. We were kind of a lot of things we weren't taught. We didn't really we weren't really taught finances, how to budget. If we were lucky, then we had parents who taught us that. Um, how to build things, how to build things with your hands, how to I don't know, man. I like if I had a kid, I'm not sure if when I'm okay. Yeah, so if I'm gonna have a kid, I think I'm gonna overwhelm him with options to choose from. But at least
What's the core? If there's one thing your child learns, if you could teach them one thing that'll go with them the rest of their life, what would you teach them?
I'm not sure if this is a fair answer, but it would be the curiosity, curiosity,
To
or
be curious.
AKA a passion for learning. I'm not sure how I hope that is a lot of overlap. But yeah, maybe I would rather call it a passion for learning, right? Um, if I can make learning fun for them and immediately available, so in a way such that I can show them that when you tinker with something, whether with your hands or with your mind or with other people with other people's minds and with different tools, whether it be a physical tool or even like a computing tool, like let's say programming. If I can show them how they have power, if I can empower my kid, that would be amazing, right? Because then the kid would be like, wow, I have powers. And the kid would probably use those powers, to build things that would probably be cool because the kid is he's an original kid. He's a what's it called? He's a young minds. When you throw them into the young minds, I think there's something to be said about young minds in the new generation, right? They have a different perspective from us just because they were born at a different time, right? That automatically makes them completely different. It's this. I heard this rule, or I can't remember who said this. Oh, Douglas Adams. He is the writer and author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and he
Oh,
had
I love that movie.
yeah, man. I didn't read the book, but the movie is pretty good too. And let's see here. I'm gonna read this really. I'm gonna find this quote here. Okay, so Douglas Adams said, "Oh fuck, you can't find it." Okay, well, he said something along the lines of, whatever is in the world between the age of 1 to 15, that automatically becomes normal. That is normal to you. Okay, so what's normal to us? We think, what's it called? We think phones are normal. We kind of think cell phones are normal. We kind of think,
I feel
apps are
like I kind
normal.
of lucked out with that because I didn't have my first cell phone until I was 15.
Yeah,
So
maybe
that's
I mean
funny.
we have a little rigor room.
That's like
So I
right
mean,
on the.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, but and then you see, and then anything between, let's see, I can't remember the numbers. Maybe let's say 15 to 30. You think it's cool. You kind of get used to. You can learn it. I may extend that to 15 to like 40 something. Anything after 40 or 50, and something comes into the world, you think it's what's it called? You think it's playing God. You know, you think it's against it's not within human, like, what's it called?
It's like foreign.
And yeah, it's too foreign. You know, any technology that's comes into your life after you're 50, it's like it's like forbidden. You know, you think
I don't know. I feel like
you
that's
think
kind
it's
of a
too powerful.
generalization. How do we know that though?
It is. No, it's just it's just an idea from Douglas Adams. But we do see it with our with certain, I don't know, our elders who are kind of paranoid of certain technologies, right? You think, oh, you know, television is gonna brainwash you because you're locked to a screen, you know, or you see the older folks making fun of millennials. You know, like, oh, these kids are just on their phones, glued. They don't have social interactions anymore. You know, our future is fucked. You know, they're just glued on their phone, tap, 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 tap. There's no actual real relationships anymore. It's all fake friends with a network of, you know, photos and built up images, you know, as opposed to a real, authentic identity. Let's say, as opposed to an artificial one.
I guess
So
if
there's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was just gonna go all the way back to like the original question and answer it for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, we really went off the expert intuition hardcore. But I guess if I could teach my child one thing, it'd probably be the never take anything at face value and be kind of I guess practice skepticism. You know.
Yeah, because it's like only because of skepticism, or not only because, but you know, we owe so much to being to skepticism and having doubt, and questioning things. Because of those things, you know, we made it this far. You know, because of those things, we've we've eliminated some pretty dumb beliefs. You know, because of discarding these dumb beliefs, we've searched for more. You know, we like, I don't know. It's cliche when I say like, okay, we landed on the moon. You know, but that's it's true. We landed on the moon because we didn't stop questioning. We were curious.
Oops.
Yeah, curiosity, skepticism, all these good traits, you know, empathy,
I guess they're good as long as
compassion.
they utilize them correctly, right? Like,
Right, exactly. So you gotta put them in some. I think you gotta take them like you gotta show them around the world. You know, you gotta show them how problems arise between people and how people solve them.
it's like
Right, so they could.
they become all those traits are the wrong stuff. So like they're curious about what it's like to murder someone. They're skeptic. They're skeptic of whether or not the law is really, you know, is it wrong to kill someone? You know, so they have all
Yeah.
this. Yeah, so they they have all these, but they channel them into the wrong areas. You know.
Yeah. I wonder how you can. I mean, you know, I mean, some people are sort of try everything once kind of people, right? So like, how do you make them not want to try that once?
Yeah.
I bet if you just kind of like gave your kid enough hugs and enough love and enough time, and attention, and quality time, I think maybe even a puppy,
Maybe even a puppy or two.
then they would
Perhaps a kitten.
probably, yeah, and healthy food and you know, good enough exercise. Maybe the kid will grow up with a good brain chemistry, you know, a secure attachment to the world, you know, a secure perspective on the world. They don't think that the world is too dangerous. You know, they know how to walk a line. Like, you know, if you, yeah, I think if you give your kid you know, a good upbringing, then they're less likely to murder people.
I imagine that's a safe guess. It's pretty
Yeah,
safe assumption. But
yeah. I don't want to be absolute absolute claim, but maybe. And I did put
I
good in
I would predict
quotations.
I would back you up that there's a correlation there, I imagine. But this is going on for about half an hour, so then let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
So yeah, be curious, be skeptical of people who are too conclusive.
Give
Um,
your kid give your kid a puppy and some hugs, and they probably won't go murdering people.
yeah, yeah. Treat your kids well, and they probably won't grow up sociopathic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for watching Talking to Famous People. Cheers.